What's good, y'all? Rich Sosa back in the building with another banger, man. So, as you can see by the looks of the title and the screen, today I'm going to be bringing y'all a very special rare center build with over 100 badges. As you can see, today we're going to be making the rare playmaking 3-level 2-way center build. Now, again, before we get any further into this video, I just gotta say thank God for giving me this opportunity. Thank y'all for your support. But man, y'all already know what y'all need to do. Be sure to hit that sub button if you're new. Anybody who wants to join the Rich Gang family, RGF, go ahead and turn on post notifications, man. But just be sure to go ahead and hit that like button, y'all. You already clicked on the video, you might as well hit it. Let's go ahead and get 50 big likes. And now, let's go ahead and get into the making of this build, y'all. So, if you were paying attention, the very first thing that you're going to go ahead and do on this build is put it under the center position. Everything else that comes out from here is really all based on preference. This is the way that I decided to go about making it. Now, I know for sure you can make this build out of the small forward and power forward position, but today we're going to go ahead and get into the centers. So, when it comes down to the height, I decided to go with 6'9". Then when it comes down to the weight, I'm going to go with 215. Or you could go with 217, either or, it really does not matter. But then when it comes down to the wingspan, I'm actually going to go with 6'11". For me, that is going to be perfect. But now let's go ahead and get into the more important part about this build. We're going to go ahead and get into the breakdown of these stats. So with that close shot, we're actually going to go ahead and put this to an 87. When it comes down to the driving layup, this is going to be an 84, and then when it comes down to that driving dunk, this is going to be an 80. Post control is actually going to go all the way up to an 85, and as you can see right here, we get 23 badges on this build, and when it comes down to the post scoring badges, you get a lot of Hall of Fame. So that is just something to consider. With this build, you're going to be able to post up. So really, another thing about this build that you're going to be able to do compared to other big men. So when it comes down to the shooting, I'm going to go with the midi of 84 and a 3-point shot of 85. For the free throw, I want to be able to take this build into any game mode. So I decided to go with an 81 free throw. And as you can see right here, we got 27 shooting badges. Now this right here, I'm telling you, really solid lineup, especially for being a center build. You're really going to be able to shoot just as good as any other build. But now, let's go ahead and get into the playmaking. So, pass accuracy, 88. Ball handle, 79. And then when it comes down to the speed with the ball, I'm going to go with a 68, and 24 badges is what it's going to do for the playmaking side. And honestly, you get a lot of really solid badges that you're going to be able to use on this build. But now, let's go ahead and get into the two-way part about this build, the defensive side. So as you can see, when it comes down to this part, I'm going to go with interior defense of 83. Perimeter defense going to go up to a 78. Steal, this is really all up to you. I'm going to go with a 72. And then when it comes down to the block, I decided to go with an 82. Now, let's go ahead and get into the rebounding. Offensive, 78. Defensive up to an 82, and right here we're going to be able to get 28 defensive badges on this build. I really like this build because of the name, but look at the versatility that you're able to work with. A lot of different badges in different areas, but when it comes down to the physicals, y'all know I can't leave y'all hanging on this part. So speed and acceleration, both are going to be maxed out. But then when it comes down to the strength, leave it at a 58. Vertical, 70, and then the stamina is going to be perfect at a 90. Now, if you feel like making any adjustments, just be sure to do it at the end of the video after you actually get the build name down, because there are a lot of minor changes that you can make to this build, but the build name will change on you. That is something that I don't want to happen to y'all. So if you want to, just be sure to make the changes at the end of the build making. But again, that is completely up to you. And if you want to go about it that way, the way that I made it, I'm telling you, really, this is going to be the best version of this build that you're going to be able to find. Now, let's go ahead and get into these takeovers. As you can see, the sharpshooting, the playmaking, the rim protecting, and as well, as the post scoring. All of these are going to be some really good options to pick from. For me, I would really just be sure that you pick the one that you know you are going to be getting a plus 10 towards, whichever stat of this build you want to get a plus 10 to, whether it be the playmaking, the defensive side, the finishing side, or the shooting. Just be sure that y'all pick the correct takeover. For me, I would highly recommend saying that when it comes down to the defensive one, I'm going to go with paint intimidation for the first. Then for the second, this is really all up to you. I would say that the shooting is really going to help out, but if you wanted to go about this a different way, you can honestly go with the limitless range one. And as y'all can see, we have made the first ever center 100+ badge playmaking 3-level 2-way build on NBA 2K22 Next Gen. Now, we decided to go with certain takeovers, so we just got to be sure what our stats are going to be looking like. Remember, you're going to be getting a +8 in general from bind boost, as well as running with teammates that have floor general as well as defensive leader. Then in takeover, you're going to be getting a +10 to the shooting and the defensive end of this build. So essentially, this is in takeover. Remember that. You're going to be able to get a +18 to your defense and shooting. So that means in takeover, mid-range, 3-pointer, and the free throw will all hit 99. When it comes down to the defensive end, this is where things get even better. So as you can see, when it comes down to this in takeover, you're going to be able to get a 99 interior defense, also a block, as well as defensive rebound. But these are going to be some more stats that are going to be in the high 90s. When it comes down to the perimeter defense, your steal, as well as your offensive rebound. But if you decided to go with other takeovers, remember, you also have the chance to get a +10 to your playmaking or even the finishing. And with that playmaking takeover, you're going to be able to be much more faster in takeover with the speed boosting that comes with that. So just something that y'all should consider. Again, this is just something that I like to bring up because in takeover, these builds are literally game changing, especially when you add up all the stats and depending on how you look at it. But for me, I can say that I like how this build was made. So honestly, all in all, I can say all around it is a very solid center build that's going to be very versatile. But now, let's go ahead and get into the finishing side of things when it comes down to the badges. So the very first one that I'm going to throw on is going to be Limitless Takeoff on silver. And then from there, we still got a good amount of other ones. So if you wanted to, you could go with Posterizer as well. You cannot forget about that badge. And then from here, I'm going to go with Slithery Finisher. I really like to run Back Down Punisher. And then for the very last couple of badges, I would go with Unstrippable. And then for the very last bronze one, this is all based on my preference. But for me, I would go with Fast Twitch. So now let's go ahead and get into the shooting part of this build. When it comes down to the badges, we got a lot of really great badges that we're going to be able to use here as well. 27 in total. So for me, I'm going to go with Silver Blinders as well as Corner Specialist. Then from there, I'm also going to go ahead and add in Stop and Pop, Volume Shooter. Then you cannot forget about Green Machine, at least on bronze. Deadeye, I can say the same exact thing about. Also, if you want to go with Catch and Shoot, you definitely can throw it on. For me, I'm actually going to leave it off just right now. But when it comes down to the next set of badges, I'm going to go with Hall of Fame Sniper, Hot Zone Hunter on gold, and then Catch and Shoot for the very last bronze one. Now, let's go ahead and get into the playmaking. We got 24 badges to work with right here. So for me, I'm going to go with Handles for Days as well as Quick First Step. From there, I'm also adding in Triple Threat Juke. We got a good amount of badges to still use. So for me, I'm going to say Tight Handles as well as Unpluckable are going to be essential. More importantly, Unpluckable. And then for the very last 7, just to add more wealth to this build, I'm going to go with Silver Space Crater. Also, if you want to, you can change anything of the setup that I'm doing right now. But for me, I would go with Silver Bullet Passer as well as Silver Bailout. Now, let's go ahead and get into the defensive end. 28 badges that we're going to be able to work with here. So first, I'm going to go with Gold Intimidator, then Rebound Chaser on silver, as well as Clamps and Rim Protector. Now for the very last 14, I'm also going to go ahead and throw in Chased on Artist. If you want to, you can go with Hustler and Hall of Fame. And then if you want to go about this a different way, you can take it off and then go with Pickpocket on silver as well as Pogo Stick possibly. Or you can really go ahead and put Pogo Stick on gold just to add in Interceptor on the highest tier. If you wanted to go with the box, you definitely can do that as well. There are so many different setups that you're going to be able to run with on this build. Just be sure that you mainly run something that you're going to be comfortable with, because at the end of the day, that is honestly what's going to matter in my opinion. So This is the setup that I would be running. We get 28 defensive badges, 24 playmaking, 27 shooting, and then 23 finishing. Man, I just really got to go ahead and say thank you, God, for giving me this opportunity. Thank y'all for the support. I just need y'all to know it does never go unnoticed. Every single viewer, every single subscriber, supporter, I love y'all. I really just need y'all to know I need y'all on deck because this year we are going crazy. So be sure to go ahead and hit that sub button if you're new, man. If you want to go ahead and join the Rich Gang family, man, just be sure to go ahead and turn on post notifications, but also hit that like button. I know that we can get 50 likes on this banger, so let's go ahead and do it. Be sure to share it with your family and friends. And last but not least, with all that being said, I got one last thing to say. Thank God and Rich out.